Hello, Carol.
Hello, Lou. Good to see you back, and back for another chat. So, first of all, congratulations on your doctorate arriving today. Um, Good job.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And now, Dr. Lou. So, yes, this is going to be a chat with Carol and Dr. Lou. It sounds like Doctor Who, and it's a wee bit like it.
Yeah,
So,
call me.
what are we going to talk about tonight? What do you think? I am I'm going to suggest something because it's been coming up a lot in my conversations with people,
Mhm.
and it's coming up a lot in my own family and the people around me. And that is the neurodivergent mind again in the education system.
Oh, yes.
Right? So you have just completed a doctorate as someone with a neurodivergent mind.
Yes, nearly killed me.
Tell me your experience of the education system.
Well, I, a lot of people would be very aware that I would be very critical of the education system. And yeah, I started my PhD in 2018, and
Hmm.
I sat my Viva, which is the exam, in November last year, and
Hmm.
went through the process of submitting. And then I didn't go to my graduation, which was on the 30th of June. And the reason I didn't go, well, there were various reasons, but one of the main ones was because I thought it would be quite inauthentic, and I would have, I didn't know if there was that much to celebrate. Like, I was really relieved I graduated, and I was really, I put in a lot of hard work, but I felt like if I was to stand in front of the Queen's Gates or university, and I was to have my certificate, and I was to look like everything's great and that was a wonderful, beautiful experience, it wouldn't have me being honest. And I felt like it would have potentially been a disservice to the people who are not getting through that process, and who are not able to succeed because of their neurological differences and their disabilities, because it felt like there was really kind, lovely, wonderful people who,
Hmm.
and there was one in particular, a very, very kind, brilliant professor and supervisor, who I credit with getting me through that process. If I didn't have that one kind person, that ally, I don't think I would have completed, because everything was set up to tell us that we should not be like this. We should not think like this. We have to think like them. We have to not be neurologically divergent. We have to not have these disabilities. So not only are you going in and
Hmm.
you have these disabilities, which means you're at a disadvantage already, but you're constantly being socially placed, or told that to have these challenges means that there's something wrong with you, because be like us, which is really, from my perspective as a neurodivergent therapist and consultant, it's just
Yeah.
complex trauma, it's complex invalidation, and it's very,
Yeah.
very hard. Now, I'm a very mouthy autistic, and I'm a very articulate, I'm able to tell them. So I was basically
Yeah.
telling them off for like
Yeah.
5 years, and I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
But I got it, but I had to stand my ground, and I had to actually fight every step of the way to get support and to get acknowledged and to get believed, because they don't see what they do. They don't know, they're not, see, in terms of neurodivergence and
Uh-huh.
neurological, clueless. And recently, there's quite a few people. I think I could talk about this for hours, as you can see.
You
There's
go.
quite a few people who
Yeah.
are not getting through. I think ADHDers particularly are going to
Uh-huh.
struggle. They're not getting through, and they're really distressed and traumatized
Mhm.
because they don't have that support. And
Yeah.
the processes, like institutional and bureaucratic and administrative processes, are really, really challenging for these neurotypes.
Uh-huh.
There's very few accommodations and support in
Yeah.
place. So yeah, I
So
think
yeah, well,
institutions
as
are
somebody who has worked in these institutions, not at that level, but a tech level and below it, did that not go right back to primary one? Is that not where that institutional bias towards or against neurodivergent minds begins?
Well, yes,
Right
the
back there.
institution. They love the conformists. They love the conformists.
Yeah.
They love the people who go, don't think. They don't want you to think. They want you to
No.
just obey. Do be like me.
And because the majority of people like to obey, nobody criticizes what's broken.
Well, they do,
That's
but they
what they
get
train not to.
But people do criticize, and they get institutionally abused, and they get like gate or whistleblowers. They get institutionally abused, and they get socially and culturally penalized because the institutions are protected and supported by the state and by the institute and all of
Yeah,
the numbers of people who work within them. They
right.
close ranks and they protect them, so they're
We know
very
that, yeah.
powerful. Do you know what I mean?
I've worked in environmental work too, and took on a lot of the institutions in Northern Ireland around that. And yes, no matter much evidence was shown, nothing changed because they do just close round. But on the education thing, I mean, the numbers of neurodivergent people, not just children, people who have not been diagnosed and are now adults and suddenly realizing that they don't fit,
Mm-hmm.
those numbers are going up by massive numbers.
Yeah, they are.
So, how long can the general public allow an education system for their children that does not acknowledge difference and does not support them? And it's just given out yesterday on the radio, or was it today, that the spending has been cut drastically for special educational needs in our schools, which means the support is now, the little support that was there is now being drastically cut away.
Mm-hmm.
Where does that leave all these people? Like parents, I know parents, some parents are very worried and other parents don't even see it because they've been taught not to criticize. They've been taught that if it's the institutions, like, who are we to criticize them? But I think it's time that people realized that this is the future and this is the future of their children. And a lot of children are dropping out of it. You know, because it's so painful for kids with a neurodivergent mind to walk through those doors. Now, I have a friend who came up here from Dublin a few weeks ago with a child and placed her son, who has autism, in a local school, and he lasted 1 week. And he's out again.
Mm-hmm.
Highly distressed, with no understanding from the teachers. That's a system that cannot be sustained. It has to change. And we need to get through to people that it's okay to criticize. It's okay to say, this isn't good enough for my child. It's okay to say, I'm not taking my child into school because you're distressing them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we need to get through to people that it's time to start having a wee look at what you're being offered and see if it's good enough.
Seeing if it's good enough. But it's also it's not a like I home educate, so I've been doing for years because I spoke out against the education system, and they go,
yeah, so have I.
really
So have I
annoyed.
spoke out against the education system.
Yeah, but it doesn't
And I'm
stop
still
me.
here and I'm still alive and nobody's bothered me, you know.
Well, I'm
I got
still
through
going to
it.
speak out because it's not fair and it's
No.
harmful, and I'm dealing with broken people who've been broken by it. And
Yeah.
a lot of the people I work with, do you know when they started to really suffer high school?
Mhm.
See that
Mhm.
around that 11, 12? Because
Yeah.
it goes into the bigger
bigger
environments, the
yes,
bigger institution, and they seem even more unsafe.
bigger classrooms and the bigger punishments. And you know, you're highlighted if you're not keeping up as being stupid.
And the, you know,
I
now
started to feel that.
Yeah, and now it's time to be serious and no fun and straight and the pressure,
Yeah,
and then the bullying for neurodivergence, like highly
yeah.
sensitive people who are very sensitive to words, things like that,
Mhm.
like things that kind of are not seen as innocuous or they're not too
Yeah,
bad, which are really painful for autistics, are real. They're kind of just like, no, you're too sensitive. So
yeah,
they're
no,
chronically invalidated and told
the
they're wrong
story.
for how they feel.
Yeah, I have a story from a woman that I know in her 30s now, who, when she was at the high school, her desk was put behind the teacher because she was seen as badly behaved, and she was isolated from the rest of the class. And now I know that woman is suffering from trauma, which she is now trying to heal,
Mhm.
which a lot of it was done in school
Yes.
because she was impulsive, she did things the rest didn't do, and she didn't conform, and she was put at a desk on her own,
Hmm.
sometimes outside of the classroom.
Yeah, like,
Instead of sitting down and saying, now, what is the problem here?
mhm,
What do we need to do to make school okay for you?
mhm.
It's instant punishment.
And but the other thing is like, I think some of the smartest minds and the most
Mm-hmm.
intellectual, brilliant people are
Mm-hmm.
like ADHD or
Mm-hmm.
are on the spectrum, but the education system, particularly at the earlier levels,
Yeah.
rewards regurgitation and
Uh-huh.
just
Uh-huh.
memory, and it's not actually anything to do
Not
with
anything with
intelligence.
intelligence. No,
No.
it's to do with
So,
memorizing.
so a lot of
That's it.
people are walking around actually really internalizing that message
Yeah.
at that low level, which isn't actually that great. They're
Yeah.
internalizing that message that they're not good enough or they're not smart because they
Because you cannot memorize.
because of
Because you
those
can't memorize
standardized
facts.
tests. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you hear a lot
Yeah.
about if a teacher has it in for you, teachers'
Mm-hmm.
words, like art, for instance, and
Yeah.
creativity, so
Yeah.
important for wellness. How many people are walking around going, I can't do art because they can't
Yeah.
copy
Our
apples and
teachers.
oranges.
Yeah.
They can't, or they can't copy like a mug, or they can't copy.
Yeah.
They were taught
That's
that's
right.
what art
That's
was.
all that. Yeah, that was art, and that's it. If you
Yeah.
can't do it, you can't do it. Yeah. Well, I had quite a few teachers didn't like me. I was quite different. I went to the grammar school in Lurgan, and I would have turned up in a black Crombie coat. I don't know if you remember them in the day, and green parallel trousers. And I'd have waltzed in through the front door like that and got changed in the changing rooms.
They'd be like, "Oh crap, Carol's arrived," and Carol's like, "Yeah."
After school, the motorbike shop up the street, he was a friend of my granddad's. At 14, I used to go up and get a motorbike. And
Mhm.
he'd have said, here, take that one out for the afternoon. I'd went straight back down to the school, and I'd been flying around the hockey pitch on the motorbike, and the caretaker chasing them. So it just didn't work. I didn't give a toss. But I was smart.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I really
I-
didn't care. It was not for me.
yeah.
It just really was not for me. And they did nothing. I loved playing hockey. I got that out of learning college. I liked playing hockey. I was a goalkeeper, and I loved that.
Enjoyed
But
that.
to see actually in the classroom, no. I couldn't figure out why I was learning German. I was never going to need German. So my mind said, well, why would I bother to put myself through all this?
Yeah.
Right. So the day of my German O level, they had started a new craze, and girls were writing boys' names on their arms with razor blades. So we
Oh.
were sitting. Oh, aye, we were real tough in them days. Here we were sitting in the cloakroom, and I'm writing Gordy up my arm with this wee razor blade, and my leg was itchy. And I forgot I had a razor blade in my hand. And I pulled my sock up, them white socks. And I sliced right up the side of my leg. And I had to put a big wad of toilet roll on that and sit and do my German O level. And I remember thinking, this German just really wasn't for me.
Not
And I
really.
made a real passion. But that was school to me. I was always the messer. I was always the one doing things that you're not supposed to do in school. You know, I was on the stage in front of the whole school for writing my name on the cleaner's room when I was in having a smoke. You know, it was like, get me out of here. So they had nothing to offer me that made me think I wanted to be there. I counted down the days. The last day of my O-levels, out of that door, it was roasting hot, jumped straight into the Lurgan Park Lake. Sat out, dried off, and round to the brew and got signed up from a £6.88, £6.8 or something per week brew, and that was me out of school.
Carol, but what kind of school would work for you?
That's a good question. Something that had a mixture, right? My English, I loved English. I still read. I mean, my house is full of books. I love books. So how could they not educate a person that loves books?
Well, what is
Myself. I'm still educating myself.
well, what is education? That's exactly what is education.
Education is finding something that you're really, really interested in and find out everything you can find out about it. That's education. It's not being to learn facts about something you don't give a toss about.
I know the subjects, so that education is so a really
I loved
effective.
science. I loved science, physics, chemistry, biology. I loved and I did those, and there was no problem. Why could I not just do those?
I know, God, don't. The subjects.
Why did I have to do geography, German, Latin? Like, come on, all I wanted was a motorbike. I didn't need to ask for it in Latin. Maths, I was okay at, and I didn't really mind, but I didn't really enjoy either. English, I loved.
I love it.
But, you know,
Yeah.
so all those years, I could have enjoyed school if I had been able to just pick 4 or 5 subjects that I was really into.
Or actually, if they'd have given a shit about who you are and what you're about and what would actually inspire
they give a
you.
shit about catching me and punishing me.
Yeah, but like if they wanted to know, like, is it not like, you know, people who can be there, or that they can live their best lives, or when they're doing things that they're really passionate about, and whereas they're kind of like, okay, pick a subject, and the skills, like, oh my God, like the grammar, don't even start me on grammar skills. I will be ranting all night. But you know, they got these certain subjects, and they're very traditional subjects.
Yeah, they're out of date.
Well, and then they're all gravitating towards actually a lot of dying industries.
Yeah.
A lot of industries that are no longer sustainable. And they're telling them actually the way grammar schools are very, very harmful in terms of mental health. The way they're pressurizing the students to get those grades, and then they're kind of telling them that if the next step is naturally university. Well, actually now the fees and everything connected with university, and a lot of the wages are going down in a lot of those traditional
areas.
Yeah. So I think they're setting a lot of young people up to fail because they're not critical thinkers, and they're all defending the institution because it worked for them and it's fine for them, so it must be fine. Well, no, teachers, no harm to you, but you're not seen as radicals, revolutionaries, and
not anymore. My daughter just finished university, and she said she never met such a boring pack, and hope they're not listening, as her lecturers.
Well, that's university. They're all I think they're better.
What they taught them was they were bored, and they were so out of date. And there
are some really inspiring lecturers and professors, and there's some.
I'm sure there is,
but there's some, they don't maybe always value what they don't really. They think, well, I know the knowledge, so they're trying to impart it. But actually, the way a lot of people learn now is they're on YouTube, they're doing
Yeah,
their own things, so they don't need as much of that
factual
talking
stuff.
at them all the time.
Yeah, they need interaction.
Mhm.
And that's the way forward for education. We've got it. It's interaction. It's
So
not being talked at, it's being conversed with.
it's being inspired to learn.
Yeah, inspired is right. Yes.
Inspired to learn.
I was never inspired. Like, I inspired myself because from a very young age I loved nature. The obvious route for me was science because biology, I mean, I just loved biology by night. And I went on and did science with the Open University and stuff because I wanted to know more and more and more. And that I inspired myself. So why can people in schools not decide for themselves what they want to study?
Well, the canons, Scandinavia, I think, like there's a Scandinavian country that started to do that, that kind of encouraging the self-learning and the,
Yeah.
looking at the interdisciplinary and subject areas, so
So it's self-teaching done in some kind of a platform where you get support with it,
yeah.
rather than boom, 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 do that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not top grade, we don't want to know you. I was always top grade and they didn't want to know me. I was first in the class right through primary school. I got top marks in most of my exams in all the other schools, but my behaviour didn't fit my marks. They couldn't control me. But they couldn't tell me I was stupid either. So I didn't fit any road. I didn't fit the ones that they said were stupid, and I didn't fit the ones that said were smart because I couldn't be controlled.
Aye.
All I wanted was out of there.
Aye.
So yeah, education to me is something that needs a complete revamp.
The education system. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really sad actually seeing how many children are suffering, how many parents. Oh my goodness, my heart goes out to all the parents who are fighting that system to all
Mm-hmm.
the time to try and get, because of the anxiety, because of their
Try and
concerns for their
fit.
children,
Yeah.
because they want their children to succeed, they want their children to
But
have
as we have
life.
said before, these neurodivergent minds that are coming through now in children's schools, it's an evolution of the human mind to me. And they're trying to push square pegs into round holes. They've got to change the education system because the number of children now with a neurodivergent mind is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And they just won't go. And they're finding now in the UK that more and more children are not attending school.
Mm-hmm.
So come on, and what more evidence do they need to know that it needs changed?
I think there's there's a tendency for people to think that the state cares and that the institute
Yes.
don't.
They don't.
They don't care. And if it works for enough people, then they defend it that it works. Now, I regularly with gifted students, I regularly have supported that who are often undiagnosed autistic,
Yeah.
and they're spat out. They've often given the best years of their life. They've been lived in high levels of anxiety, stress, sleep disorders, eating disorders, everything. But they do well on exams, so the school looks like it's successful. Then they might go to university. Then they might have a complete breakdown at university or after, but it'll catch up with them. But they've been spat out by the system, and they've made the system look good. Now that really annoys me.
Yes.
Because the system will just say, well, look, we did well. I was like, no, you stress them to fuck and you really traumatize them, and they do all that you asked them to do, and you have failed them because they're now completely broken, they cannot work, they're not independent, and they think the problem's them.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking of the system looking good, when I worked in the system, the number of kids that passed exams with more than a little help from tutors because they couldn't be seen to be failing. It was unbelievable. Now, I witnessed that many times. In fact, I had rows about it. And those kids then came out with certificates that they were not capable of achieving into the world. And then when they went to get jobs and stuff with these certificates, they couldn't do it. Because there'd been so much of it had been buffered up by the support that they got, so it was over supporting to get good results.
And there's also, there is something about at 18, if through the systems and they've got the diagnosis and they've got that learning support there with them all the time.
Yeah.
That also.
That's what I'm talking about. That was my job.
Yeah, and then that support goes post 18.
Yeah.
Post 18, and parents are like, well, and there's nothing.
Yeah. And that's now what they're withdrawing of funding.
Yeah.
That was my big fight with Portadown Tech, or SRC as it's known now. It was that in the last year, in the May, they withdrew the funding for learning support from all the students who have been being supported, coming up to exam time. And they paid off all the workers as well, and they were not getting any pay from then until September. And that's when I started to criticize them and got into a bit of bother with them. But yeah, the whole system is very, very faulty. Very faulty.
There's a lot of good people doing good work within it.
Yes. It's not the people. It's not the people. It's the system. There was a lot of good people doing learning support and it wasn't valued. It wasn't valued by the system. It was just get these people through from the beginning of the year to the end and get them through the door. It just looked on paper. So I would be quite concerned that those numbers are going up so high and those systems are not suitable to get those kids through education.
Yeah.
So yeah, where to from here? I don't.
Well, I think it would be helpful to really, people to really redefine success, redefine what a good life is. Think more in terms of wellness and health an indicator as opposed to qualifications all the time.
Yes.
Now, I say that with a PhD, but I'm 45 and I've just reached my potential and I'm really, and it's because actually I have had to, it's been a long journey because that foundation was so flawed in terms of I listened and believed to people who were trying their best, but actually they didn't help me reach anywhere near my potential. Like I had a nice time and they liked me and they found me quite funny and a free spirit, but they didn't, I couldn't do any of the subjects that I'm really passionate about now. They didn't exist. If I'd have said to my careers advisor, I would really like to be a neurodivergent consultant and therapist, he would have said, Louise, you're crazy. He would have said, do you want to be a social worker? Or
no.
Maybe you want to be
what you are. Do you see the number of people that are actually needed at the minute to support and work with people who are neurodivergent in this place, this broken system? They need hundreds of you.
Yeah, but the thing is, I won't go in there supporting it because all I'll see is trauma and everything hurting, and it's like too exhausting to say everything needs to change. I was an educational psychologist. An educational psychologist said to me, "Schools are not safe places."
No, they break people.
Yes,
schools break people.
They're not.
If they don't break you in P1, they'll break you when you're doing your doctorate.
Well, they
Didn't
didn't
get-
break. They nearly.
didn't break
close.
you.
It was close.
Yeah.
But I think redefining success. I would love people to
Yeah.
not feel too scared if they feel.
I feel like I am extremely successful.
Very good.
You know why? Because I wake up every morning looking forward to the day. I don't want, desire, or sit wishing for anything. I live in the moment. And moment to moment, my life is amazing.
Oh,
Now, most of the people that love me and are related to me don't speak to me, but I don't. That's fair enough. I'm still happy.
You're free, Carol.
I'm free. I'm absolutely free.
You're free to be.
Free to be whatever I want.
Free to be you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what life's about, and people just haven't quite got it yet. If you're not free to be you, you're never going to enjoy life. That's where you need to be. Free to be yourself.
Yeah. On the
And
money.
that's who I am me. That's what it says on my Facebook, by the way. On the biological thing, whatever you have to write, biography, I wrote, I am me.
You are. You're the best you there ever is.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm the only.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that matters, is that you're being you. Whether that's neurodivergent, whether that's neurotypical, whether that's whatever it is, just be it.
Yeah, but don't harm.
No.
Yeah, but
Don't
some of them are
harm.
psychos. Like some of them being themselves aren't very good. They're not like you, Carol.
Right. But that's not them being themselves.
Well,
That's the distorted, traumatized version of themselves that this world has created. So unless you escape from that, then you're going to be that traumatized, broken, psychotic, psychopathic person. That is what the world creates if you let it break you. Babies are not born with those things. The world gives them to people, and people take them.
there was another. The researcher said to me that actually there is some research about psychopaths. Actually, they don't. It's. I don't. I know what you're saying, but I was actually. I like talking about this. The dark triad. Like this. Why are they do that? And they don't have a conscience.
No, they don't have a conscience.
But is it? But they actually were saying they are born like that, and I was like, what? Because
there are babies born without a conscience.
Is there? Right, so that would be psychopath.
And this is a big one.
No conscience.
Other babies born without a conscience.
The what?
Depends what you see the conscience as. You see, to me, we are not the mind. So
right. I don't think. Yeah. Right.
Once you become, it's about being spiritual, isn't it?
It's about just being.
It's about being the complete body, mind, and soul.
Just be a good person, like.
Yeah, but you know, there was a wonderful example of it. Jesus. People think Jesus, you know, it's all religion, blah blah blah. To me, Jesus was an example of what an amazing person is like.
Yeah.
And I'm not religious, but I have to admit that. I have to look at that and say, wow, yeah, I would like to be like that.
Yeah, he was a good one. He was.
Yeah. And, you know, that's the example. Priorities in life. So here's the shit. People want good jobs to get more money to buy more shit. Even though they know the shit that they're chasing and buying is shit.
Right.
So I just can't get it.
Redefine success. Yeah. Success. Success is inner peace. Success is inner peace. The what?
It's insane. Success.
Yeah. It's like, it's how you live your life.
Yeah. Success has nothing to do with stuff.
No.
So to take all those people and children and shove them into them buildings and say, you must know blah, 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 and all them facts and all that shit. Yes, I agree it's helpful to be able to read and write and count to a certain extent. But after that, I think the human being will develop itself, each one of us, in the direction that we want to go, if we're left the freedom to do it.
And I like the fact you brought up the skills. So it's learning skills, but it's actually just holding space and helping and assisting
Holding
them to
space for
learn
people to
those
find
skills
their own skills
so they can be independent and
individual.
individual. Love it. I think that is going to be how we wrap up, I think. Well, I don't know. Is there anything you...
An individual and bring it all from the heart.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you have a happy person.
Yeah.
Successful person.
Successful. Be more Carol, but not be Carol.
There's someone cringe when you say you have to remember that I am the person that people love to see. They have to see me as faulty. They have to, or they're chasing all that stuff. And I'm saying, I'm happy and I'm sitting here with them.
If they're like, Carol, you know, if they're saying she's crazy, or I don't care. I'm not talking about them. I don't even know who they are. They're not even in my radar.
They diagnosed me as bipolar when I was 30. And they had to write in my medical record some years later, this woman shows no signs of mental ill health. And in fact, is very intelligent.
Yeah. They call us what they want. We're happy. It's called wild. That's where we are. Just wild women having a good time.
The whole thing is, we just need to live outside of all that nonsense.
Aye, and if they want to talk about us, we must be doing something that they see something they ain't got.
If they're not talking about you, you're conforming.
Yeah, we're free, Carol. We're free.
Absolutely free, like.
All right. Well, it's good to chat again, and I'll talk to you again soon.
You will. Goodbye.